All right, guys. So we have a really fun guest today. We have Derek Halpern of Social Triggers, and I don't know if you guys have heard about him yet or not, but if you haven't, you're about to learn some pretty powerful stuff about website conversions and really building a business online. His goal at Social Triggers is to help entrepreneurs use proven psychological principles really to grow their business and their followings. And it's wild. In 21 months, that's how long this specific site has been around of his. In 21 months, he wrote 54 articles and has over 70,000 subscribers. And it just grew this thing like a weed. And he really understands the way that people interact with a website and how to really focus on the goals that matter. So I'm really excited about this one just personally because he's going to give us some great ideas on how to tweak and do some kind of 80-20 changes at Live Your Legend to better grow our movement. And also things that all of you guys can and hopefully will do to make huge differences, the small tweaks that make the big differences in what we're trying to do. So, Derek, it's awesome to have you here. Thanks so much, man.
Scott, I'm pumped to do this. I'm real pumped to walk people through this today because I haven't done one of these in a while. When I first started Social Triggers, this is actually kind of how I got started with growing with my website. I was showing people how to use their website to get more traffic, not more traffic, and then convert that traffic into email subscribers, because it was like low-hanging fruit. If you're running a website that already gets some hits, you might as well try and convert those hits into subscribers so you're not losing out on what you rightfully earned, right? So I'm pumped to walk through this with you today because I haven't done this in a while, and I also think that there's a lot of low-hanging fruit for you and probably a lot of your readers and audience. So even though I'm going to be walking through the lens of your website, a lot of what we're going to talk about, I'm going to take a second to try and pull back to everyone who's listening and show them how it might apply to them as well. Does that sound good?
Perfect, man. I'm excited. This is going to be fun.
All right, great. So first things first, you run a site called Live Your Legend, and I absolutely love what you have going on here. And instead of telling a story or telling any of this, let's just get right down into the hard-hitting tips that people can use as soon as possible. One of my main tips about using your website to convert people into email subscribers, and I focus on email subscribers specifically because email subscribers get results.
Okay, that's a good. Go ahead.
Yeah, what were you going to say?
Well, just that's a good point. I think a starting point. What is the goal of the website? And I guess maybe we could touch on that a second before we get into the specifics.
Yeah. So I always tell people this story. I got two numbers for you: 300 and 4,200. When I sent out an update to my Twitter list of 12,000 people at the time, I think it's 25,000 people now or whatever. When I sent an update out to those people, I got 300 people, 300 clicks to a website. I sent out an email update to a similar amount of people. 4,200 clicks. Now, you can't spend clicks, you can't spend hits, you can't spend page views, but I'll tell you this. Each one of those clicks is a human being. The more human beings you have on your website, the more opportunity you have to sell them some stuff. So I focus on email because email gets results. When people are on an email list, they're more responsive on that email list. Same, 4,200 versus 300, clicks. Not only are they more responsive, you are in control of your email list. Complete control. If you build up your Twitter following or your Facebook page, this is third party, Facebook or Twitter, that might change an algorithm that screws you over. When you have an email list, if your email service provider is no longer working for you, you can just download your names and emails and put it in a new provider. You're not trapped to the platform. When you use Twitter, you can't take those Twitter followers elsewhere. They're stuck there. So email is great. This is why I focus on email. So
yeah, and I like your just the point of you think of what's going to engage the person on the other side in the most focused way. And so, what we're trying to do is get them to our content so we can help them in whatever way it is. Maybe it's to get them to watch something, maybe to buy something. But the point is we need their attention, and there's so many damn distractions on all the other platforms. I love your focus on that. So thanks for hitting that.
All right, cool. So first tip, I want to walk you through. We're going to focus on converting the email subscribers first, and I'm going to give you some other cool tips that you can focus on. First, your site needs a feature box. What's a feature box? On your homepage, liveyourlegend.net, you should have a big box at the top of your website, above your content and sidebar, that asks people to sign up to your list. This box converts anywhere from 7 to 12% of new traffic into new subscribers.
Wow.
You need one of these boxes as soon as possible. You can kind of see it here. You can imagine putting it on your site. Now, let me tell you why this is so great. The way your current setup is that your newest blog post is what's first. But just because it's the newest, it doesn't mean that's what you stand for. Right now, it happens to be a great blog post that you had, just that TEDx Talk, which was amazing, actually. So that's a good thing to have there, but eventually there might be something else that comes up there that might not be representative of who you are and what you stand for. And if you're always showing your newest post first, new visitors are not going to be able to understand what you are and what you do from just your newest blog post. This is why the feature box is so great, because not only can you then put some tailored content that really reiterates your unique selling proposition, but it's also your opportunity to convert, and it converts really well. So that's the first thing. Now, I've actually tested this as well, where I had nothing but an opt-in form on my homepage without any blog posts below it, and it was converted a little bit better. It was great. The issue was it wasn't designed right, and it was actually lowering the engagement on my site, so I stopped it for now until I reimagined my homepage.
Okay. Now, can you give us any pointers about the feature box? Is there anything to keep in mind when you create one of these things?
Yeah, it's just like a regular email sign-up form that's bigger, the better, right? And it's just about giving people some you-focused copy, like why they should be reading your site. Like if you read mine, for example, do you know what makes people tick online? If not, now's the time to learn how to use psychology to turn random traffic to loyal subscribers, persuade people to buy products, encourage people to share your content and website. Just enter your email below and click Get Updates. It's like a call to action in a box. Right. I happen to have an image. I have some other stuff. I have some social proof. Like I'm totally loving Social Triggers from New York Times bestselling author. That's the main goal. It's just try and give people a bribe. You can give people a free download. I don't, but you can. And that's the main goal here.
Perfect.
So that's tip number one, to really up your conversions. Second tip, I did a video called What's the Best Color for High Conversions. Did you see this video by chance?
It's on my list to watch. I saw it come through my email.
All right, so this is a very interesting video because people always like to fight over what's the best color for high conversions, right? There is no best color for high conversions. What there is are what I call action colors and passive colors. And I did a video about this. What's the best color for high conversions? Let me break this down. When you're looking at this, when you're looking at your site, you've got an action color and it appears so a passive color is what makes up your web design, your color, your web design of your site. Your action color is that color that you want people to take action on, that colors that people click. Generally, your action color should stand out from the rest of your design. It should pop because what stands out gets clicked. And when you're trying to get people to sign up for something, they need to know where they need to sign up. I actually had someone, I'm not even kidding. If you go to Social Triggers, I've got a huge opt-in form here, an opt-in form here. I got links to opt-in forms. I got a pop-up. Someone actually asked me how to get on my email list. You know, because you can't assume people are going to see it. So you want it to stand out always. Now, with your case, I think you're doing really well with the action colors being red. The thing that I'm a little concerned with is one of your main calls to action is this download your passionate career toolkit right in your top of your sidebar. Great. Right. I love that you're giving away some free stuff. I love all this. The thing that concerns me the most, though, is that it's on this gray background that kind of takes the color away from your color. Like gray is known universally as to draw and dull colors out. Okay. And it's dulling out your color. And I would even consider maybe putting that on a white background as opposed to a gray background just for that conversion area. Just like it's something interesting to test. Now, I don't know if this is going to work, but it might pop a little bit more. The next thing I would highly consider is that font is too small. All right, I'm 27 years old. I'm also basically legally blind over here, but I can't read that. And chances are there's other people who might have problems reading this. If they're reading it on a phone, if they're looking at a 11-inch MacBook Air, I can only imagine how small that font is. Right. I would think about upping the fonts a little bit. I always tell people size 16 is the new size 12. And it's just something to keep in mind and something to test. Okay. All right, but other than that, I love that you have that that form in the top right. If you don't have anything on the top of your sidebar that's a conversion mechanism, I highly suggest the people listening do that as well. The feature box can work for you, and also the conversion mechanism in the top right.
So Derek,
yeah.
I have 2 questions about that box. One, I noticed mine's pretty long, and it's probably below the fold, I'm guessing, on at least part of it. The actual enter email part is going to be below the fold on some screens.
Yep.
Should that be not so deep?
I would test that. I can't say that with absolute certainty. I use a short one. I know my friend Ramit Sethi uses a longer one. Ramit doesn't even ask for an email. He sends you to a page.
Right.
So it's just something to test. There's no right answer till you test that.
Okay, and then one other thing is you talk about how this red is the call to action. Well, download the Passionate Career Toolkit at the top. That almost looks like a button. Do you think that's an issue worth dealing with?
Yeah, so that's a very interesting point because it does kind of look like a button. Let me show you some real quick that I do on one of my webinar sign-up. This is an old webinar sign-up page, so don't think it's like a new thing. It's not new. Okay. This is old. This doesn't actually exist anymore. But take a look here. You see how at the top I have that same thing, but it's a very clear that a little arrow pointing down. It's basically a way to use an obnoxious arrow in your design without actually using an arrow. You can actually do something like that here where it kind of just has a little pointing arrow pointing down here, letting people know what they're about to see.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yep.
Something to look at. All right. Next thing I want to tell you about is on your single blog post pages, I want you to highly consider putting an email sign-up form at the bottom of your blog post. Like you have one right here, and that's great, and I love that. And I'm told that it converts really well. I'm actually going to test this myself on my own site now. But you should have one right here above I love seeing what we can do as a team, and well, above the email thing and below this part. Let me tell you why I like this so much. If someone makes it to the bottom of your blog post, that means they read what you're offering. If they made it that far, see I have it right here. If they made it that far, that means they like what you're saying. What better time to ask them to sign up to your email list? It's not going to convert really high, but you might as well ask them while they're hot, right?
Right.
And I think that's something that you can benefit from. Now,
you keep yours pretty short, it looks like. Is there any rhyme or reason there?
I just keep mine short. I don't give away anything to get on my email list because I'm kind of a snob like that. But I'm going to be testing this in the future. But right now, I don't give away anything, which is why it's so short.
Okay.
All right. Next thing I want to tell you about is one of my readers, Laura. She actually just did what I told you to do with the whole top of sidebar, feature box, bottom of blog post, did all that stuff. And she actually runs a website for like lunch plans for kids or something like that. Okay. And she did all this advice. She went from getting like between 5 and 8 new subscribers a day to like between 35 and 38 new subscribers a day. Just by making these small tweaks.
That's amazing.
So this is like, and she's in some world where she gives people lunch plans.
Wow.
So
man.
This stuff works. It's worth testing. And I think you'll find that it's going to work for you. Just a feature box alone, you're going to absolutely love. If that feature box doesn't convert for you, I'll be absolutely shocked.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Wow. So you talk about testing a lot. Is there, and everyone's talking about A/B testing, any recommended platform, or you just do it through your email provider, or what do you use?
Just depends. You can have Visual Website Optimizer for easy testing. You can use Google Website Optimizer, or the Google. I think it's Google Website Optimizer. I don't remember the name right now, but they have a testing platform. Visual Website Optimizer, and Aweber actually has some testing functionality built into some of their forms that you can use.
Right.
And the other thing is you can just kind of, these aren't true tests. Like if you don't have the time to set up a real good test, you don't have someone focusing on it, you might not have the time or reason. I just, one day I'll try this, the next day I'll try this, another day I'll try this. And even though it's not a true A/B test, it gets me a feel for if it's working or not. And it might get me down the path to where I might want to try it a little bit more, in a more rigorous fashion.
I like that.
So it's just something to think. It just gets you on the right track to kind of eyeball it a little bit.
Okay.
So I eyeball a lot of stuff. I mean, usually like, all right, I'm doing this. I usually average X amount of opt-ins a day. If I do this, what are my average opt-ins a day? And just take a quick look. If I'm not sure if this works or not, then I'll go really deep and try it, with a real split test. But
Okay.
if I'm averaging 70 opt-ins or 100 opt-ins or 150 opt-ins a day for the last 6 months, and I make a change, now all of a sudden I'm getting 250 opt-ins a day, obviously that's responsible.
Yep.
So that's kind of how I do it. I'm getting a little bit more rigorous in the new year because I just hired some people on the Social Triggers team. So it's going to be a little bit more rigorous going forward. But that's kind of how I did it in the beginning when I was kind of first growing my audience.
Okay.
Is focusing on that 20% to try and find the 80%, as they would say.
Right.
All right. Next. We talk about email sign-up forms. The next thing I want to talk about is, this is actually something I've never really talked about that much before. And it has less to do with your design and a lot to do with your call to action. A lot of people like me and you, we like to focus on asking people to tweet or like our articles, right? Because we think that's the key to going viral. That's the key to getting some more traffic. I actually try to avoid that like the plague now. Yes, I have some sign-up forms and I ask people to tweet stuff, but I want you to take a look at this. I think you might dig it. So I got to find the article. So when I put this article up, the dumb pricing mistake that people make and how to fix it, instead of asking people to focus on sharing it, like sharing it on Twitter, here's what I say. Take a look at this. Open up your favorite email program and send an email to 2 friends that says, just saw this video about pricing, I think it will help, and link to this article. I'm not asking them to tweet it. I'm not asking them to share it. I'm asking them to email a friend. And actually, in the copy of the video, I say the same thing. I say, do you have a friend that's making the pricing mistake that I just showed you how to fix? Why don't you send this link to them? You might be helping them make some money. Or I did another video, like how to email influential people. And I did something very similar. In that video, I'm like, you ever get someone to email you, like a dumb email, and they're asking for the wrong stuff in the email? And you're thinking, like, I would never respond to that email. And what I do at the end of this video, if you ever got one of those videos or you ever get annoyed by those emails, just send them a link to this video so they know what they did wrong and they won't do it again.
That's pretty good.
And I focus. You can see, do you have a friend who needs to get in touch with someone they don't know? Show them this video so they can increase their chances of getting a response.
Yeah.
Now, I focus on this for a couple reasons. I started doing some research about what makes something go viral, and a lot of people think it's about Twitter, Facebook, about getting influencers to share their stuff. That's actually not the case. Turns out something goes viral when they get large groups of people to share it with their small networks. It's not about getting them to tweet it. It's about getting a friend to recommend it to a friend. And if you think about it, it makes sense. If I sent you a personal email, hey man, you got to check out this TED Talk. What's the open rate on that email? 100%. What's the click-through rate on that email? 100%. So if you entice people to send it to a friend or two, it's not going to get you the Twitter traffic. It's not going to get you the Facebook traffic, but it's going to get people talking about you in a more personal setting.
Love that.
Okay, so that's something that I think you should try and focus on in the future. Instead of doing these like buttons and tweets, I still keep them there for social proof or whatnot, but I believe that this has been helping me grow Social Triggers to where it is right now.
Would you move those buttons or make them less prominent or anything? Or
I mean, I think where you have them is a good thing. I keep mine on the top left here on the side. Some people don't even see them, and I also put it at the bottom of the blog post. But, I mean, I don't really know. I actually took them off for a week to see if my social media traffic would go down, and the amount of traffic I got from social media did not go down, but the amount of tweets and likes did go down, even though the traffic didn't go down, which to me means people aren't paying attention on social media.
Yeah.
So that's just something to think about. So I never actually talked about that much before, and I'm glad I got a chance to share that with you. Next.
All right.
Next thing I want to talk about is just your sidebar. And a lot of people suffer from this, where they feature too much stuff in their sidebar. And you got a lot of stuff in your sidebar. I don't want to make the decision for you on what you got to remove, but I would highly consider analyzing your sidebar and trying to figure out what's absolutely essential and pare it down to just that. Okay, I don't know what this is or what it can be because you're more familiar with your business than I am, but I think your email sign-up form is important. I love the fact that you have some, like these recommended articles might be working. If they're clicking on it, I don't know if people are clicking on this or not. I kind of think this is neat to have a charity thing here. But I would look through this to try and figure out what's essential and pare it down to just that.
Mm-hmm. Now, I remember we talked about one time we were just having a chat. You talked about Twitter buttons, when you go down on the sidebar a little bit where I have sign up for Twitter or Facebook. And I remember you having a kind of a strong feeling about whether those could be distracting or not. Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, no, I think putting your social media profiles in your sidebar is very distracting. And I think it's not that important when you're better off getting an email list. That said, you can see that I added my Twitter thing recently. But this is because I woke up one day and I was like, you know what? Here's a problem. Twitter is a Twitter doesn't send a lot of traffic. And the problem is it doesn't send a lot of traffic, but people put a lot of credibility to people with Twitter followers. Like publishers look for Twitter followers. All these people look for Twitter followers. And I'm transitioning to a new point in my business where Twitter followers make a little bit more sense for me because my site's already building the email list first and foremost. But I'm at a point where the Twitter following is going to help me get what I want in about a year from now. Okay. I don't think this is right for everybody. It's right now what I'm doing right now, but it's mainly for ego. And it's also because I'm trying something a little bit different. I think when people are just starting out with building their following, they need to get rid of all those distractions and focus on the email list first. For the first, 20 months of Social Triggers, I didn't have any links to social media on my website. I wanted the email list first and foremost. Now that I got the subscribers, things are kind of plateaued a little bit. I'm trying to experiment with new things to break out of the plateau. And when I say plateau, I'm still growing extremely quickly. It's just not exponentially anymore because it's hard to grow exponentially when you have huge numbers of subscribers.
Right. Yeah, well, it's a good point because I feel like it's so easy to get caught up in, how many Twitter followers have I been getting each day and all this stuff. It's like, well, back to what really matters. And and I look at my stats every month, and Twitter gives me so little traffic. It's wild compared to all the other places. So it's just interesting.
Yeah, so it's just something to think about.
Yeah.
So I would pare it down. I don't like Twitter or social media things for people who are just starting out. And the rest is you have a lot of stuff going on here, and I don't know what the right answer is. So you got to test to figure out what's most important here.
Okay.
And pare that down to the absolute necessity. You might find that an email on your email list is worth a whole lot more money in the long term than promoting your products in the sidebar, as an example.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Or maybe just promote just one product, not a million of them. Or have one product in a box that has an auto update. So it's only one product and it's only taking up one spot and it's not taking up your whole sidebar.
Oh, you mean but it switches what it shows?
Yeah, kind of like an ad for your own stuff.
I see what you mean.
Just something to think about. I would just pare that down as fast as possible because I suspect that when you have this much action, it's making people get confused about what they want to do.
Yeah.
All right, next.
Okay.
Let's take this back to action colors and passive colors again. There's passive colors, which make up your design, and action colors makes up what you want people to take action on. You're actually making a mistake that I've seen a lot of people make, and it's a usability mistake, is your action color is red. But here you have red headlines that are not clickable. You've trained me on your site to tell me that red means click, and here's some red things I can't click. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Think about that. You might want to... This is not going to get you immense results for changing this. However, what it is going to get you is just a little bit more cleaner user experience.
Yeah. Okay.
So that's less about business building. That's more about just getting getting stuff rolling.
It sounds like you might change the color of the headings as opposed to change the color of the call to action, since red is a good call to action color.
Exactly.
Cool.
I also love this picture with the 2 thumbs up. So this is a picture
so good.
You should totally feature this like at the top of your website, like right over here.
That's one thing I was wondering about. I'd love to give this TEDx Talk some prominence consistently on the site. Do you have any ideas about that?
Yeah, so there's a couple things. I think the fact that you did a TEDx Talk that got, 62,000 views now?
Yeah.
So give you a clap for that, man. Clap for that. You crushed it. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And I would, if that's really important to you, I would have your sign-up form right here with your email Right below that, see my TEDx talk that's been viewed by more than 60,000 people, and then a link to your page where you have a TEDx talk. If that's not going to build that's going to build more credibility than, oh, I've been featured in this logo and this logo and this logo.
Definitely.
You know what I mean? And I think that could be a good way to do it. Second, I told you this before. There's your purpose thing here. If you put up ClickTail or some eye tracking stuff, I know people are clicking on this. And right now, if I click on it, it goes to your homepage. This should go somewhere specific. I found this by accident. On Social Triggers, take a look at this. See this? Don't miss out on free updates?
Yep.
This was never a link. I was running eye tracking or click tracking software, like ClickTail, I think it was. And I noticed people kept clicking on this box, and it wasn't clickable. And I was like, really? People are clicking this box and it's not clickable? What? So I made it clickable, and now people click this and end up at a landing page. You know, just by accident. I have a sneaky feeling that people are clicking this because it makes sense to me that they would click it. Like, oh, it's your purpose. Click. Home. What the heck just happened?
Yeah,
you know?
yeah, okay.
I would send that somewhere. You could even, I mean, your TEDx talk might even be a good place to promote right here, or send that to an opt-in page that kind of coincides with that text, your purpose.
Yeah.
And I think that would be an interesting little test to see how many people click it. Make that a unique page and just see if people are clicking that, or just test it with ClickTail. But I have a feeling they are.
Yeah, I like that. So that's cool. Now, when you say link to the TED Talk, would you suggest I put the talk on a separate page on my site so we keep them on the site, or link them to YouTube?
I would put it on a separate page on your site.
Yep.
And then link them to it where they see your TED Talk. Right below that, I put it on a landing page, like a little landing page with your TED Talk front and center. And then right below that, I would say, if you like this TED Talk, I've got a little cheat sheet of my notes. I'll give it to you for your email address.
Right.
So now you're turning your TEDx talk into lead gen. Where you're giving some extra bonus, which will take you a few seconds to do.
Yeah.
All right. So we kind of talked about the opt-in forms. We talked about some usability stuff. We talked about paring down your sidebar. The next thing that I think would be great, and I think you actually just did this. You put these free tools. This is from when we last talked. Am I right?
Right.
And how is this working for you?
So, to be honest, this is a bad answer, but I didn't track the clicks on that link as well as I should have. I know the page you're on right now converts incredibly well at like 33 or 34%.
All right, what I meant was originally it was like archives, and you moved to free tools or free updates, and now it's just this page where it's an opt-in form.
Yeah, and between that and a couple other things you recommended when we talked before, there was a significant increase in daily subscribers. It was probably it's probably a 30% increase or something at least.
Dude, that's great. What I want you to do next is get rid of the sidebar on this page.
Yep.
All right, I do this on all my sites. If you go to Social Triggers as an example, and I click on my About page, look at this. Boom, nothing. My dumb face is what you see.
Nice.
You go to my list building thing, again, nothing. Pare it down. Get rid of those sidebars. You'll find that this might increase your conversion rates drastically just by eliminating the distractions. And I see you got rid of your navigation bar. That's cool. I think getting rid of the sidebar is the next test.
Cool.
All right. Other than that, we talked about that intimate sharing thing too, which I think is really cool. Was there a specific question that maybe you wanted to ask me?
I remember one thing that would be good to share with the group that was on our last call was just, remember you asked me, you said, hey, what's your most highly trafficked blog post? And I looked in Google Analytics, we found it, and it's this one about what to do when the moment you quit or get fired. And for some reason, it gets a ton of traffic from all kinds of sources. And you said, okay, you need to turn that into a conversion page. And so what I did is I put in a couple email opt-in forms for folks there. So when they come to that page, they have a chance to get some tools related to quitting their job. And so I think that was a cool suggestion that you had that I never would have thought of to kind of.
All right, so that's a good point. So this is called finding your money pages, right? If you have a site that's been getting some traffic, you'll find that some of your most popular stuff is stuff that's in your archive, stuff that's evergreen, stuff that will last forever. And this is the article you're talking about, am I right?
Right, yep.
And now this page, you said that you were getting a ton of traffic on it. All I told you to do is go back on this page, do a little edit, and I see that you added an opt-in form here, and now it's helping you convert. Am I right?
Yeah, it's converting at like 2% or so, which, I mean,
Yeah.
that's damn good compared to before.
So this is what you call find your most popular page on your site and try to add a conversion item inside that page. That way you're not losing out on the traffic you're rightfully earning. And you did a great job with that. And I think everyone who's listening should be conscious of looking at your analytics. See what your most popular page is and see if there's something you can do to one of those pages to try and turn that page into a traffic geyser of traffic and try to turn that into a subscriber builder. And I think you did this great. As you can see, he kind of adds this right here where he gives a special promise away for these people. Very cool.
And if you go down further, at the end of the article, I also have I think pretty much the same thing.
Perfect. And you said it's working. That's what I like to hear.
Yeah, and I mean that was such a when you told me that, and I realized I'd never thought of it. It just sounded so silly. Like, of course, like give some attention to the most popular page, but I just love how 80-20 or like 95-5 some of this stuff is.
Yeah, I like to get, when you're first starting out, it's so easy to get caught up in this minutia, right? So I try to focus on the stuff that works so you can focus on what really builds your business, which is writing a good piece of content and then promoting the heck out of that content.
Yep.
And I think you executed that perfect with your TEDx talk, where you created this great piece of content, got on TEDx, and then you're out there trying to get as many people in the world to see that TEDx talk. You're not trying to give 8 million TEDx talks. You got one. Now you're trying to promote it everywhere.
Right. And it was a huge part of that key is creating something that you're proud of that people will want to share, hopefully without you asking.
Yeah, but you know what? You always got to ask.
It. But so I do have one other thing that came to mind. There's the hello bar I have at the top, that red stripe. Any thoughts on something like that?
Yeah, I mean, I haven't tested this myself in a long time, but if it's working, keep doing it. I have to actually revisit the hello bar myself. I haven't used it in a while.
Yep. Okay, yeah, I mean, it gets some traffic. It's hard to know if I remove that, whether it would focus someone somewhere else, but it links to that one page opt-in that we saw for the free tools. It's the same page.
Nice. So I think it's worth testing. I have no data on that. I don't want to talk about it if I haven't done it myself. I try to just practice what I preach, and I haven't practiced that, so I don't want to preach it yet.
Certainly. How about like the nav bar? We have home, about, start here. How do you feel about what's up there? I mean, I'm sure you default to having fewer things.
Yeah, I think this is good. You have 5 items. If I always tell people, if they got 10 different navigation items, you got to pare that down. Yeah. I think having between 4 and 6 is good. You did that great.
Cool.
So the reason why that works so well is just because if you have too many options, people pick no options. They get confused, paralysis analysis, if you will. Yep. Whereas with you focus on the essential, and it really hones people to where you want them to be.
Cool, man. This is powerful stuff. I'm so excited to put this stuff to work, and I know it's going to work. It's going to be fun.
And if it doesn't work, I guess I could eat my sock or something.
Hey, the feature box you talked about, that should be right below all of the nav. Is that right? Is that what you're thinking?
Yeah, right below the nav is where I'd put it.
Cool, and just shift everything down.
Yep, absolutely. Shift everything down.
Sweet, man. Wow, this is fun. Well, any last pearls you have to drop on us before we wrap it up?
Yeah, the last thing is I would highly consider creating some resource pages. I have this on Social Triggers again, where it's list building 101, how to build an email list that actually make money from it, right? And I just have it's just a quick little resource, a little intro copy, 3 links to articles, and an opt-in form. Let me tell you why I love this so much. These pages don't convert great. Like, they're not the highest converting pages in the world. Mm-hmm. But you know what they do? Is as you keep them there for a very long time, you'll find that, let me just log out of my thing here so you can see this. As you keep them there, take a look at this. Those pages will start ranking. So I wanted this to rank for list building. List building is my main keyword. Yeah. Check it out. List building. Number 1.
Wow.
So you want to start creating resource pages that go after specific keywords that you would like to rank for. Just like I did here. List building, and I'm ranking for list building.
That's amazing.
And the reason why this works so great is because it's creating these like focus pages that really silo people into specific types of content. It's good for usability. It's good for helping people find the content they want. And it's a good way for you to highlight the things that you want to highlight, that you want to be known for. So, for example, you have like working off your passion. You could have a resource page that says work off your passion. You could have links to 5 articles about it. I'm not saying that's the actual thing that you want it to be called, but I'm assuming you're getting the gist here.
Yeah, definitely. And I know when you found your keyword, that's a kind of a whole nother topic, but I'm guessing that was just some research you've done through Google and things like that.
Exactly.
Right.
And I don't recommend spending too much time on keyword research. It's always about the user.
Right.
But I definitely believe that doing a little bit just to get a feel for it is definitely a good strategy.
Okay. Cool, man. Oh, hey, one other thing that we talked about and I'm considering, actually I'm planning to do in the next couple months, is not having any blog posts on the front page, and really it being like a landing page where when people get there, they can see what the vision of Live Your Legend is. There's going to be an opt-in form, just like you talked about, like a feature box, and then maybe below it has some of the key content suggestions for people to check out, or like the TEDx Talk, or just some core things to my message.
Yep.
And then you click to go to the actual blog. What do you think about something like that?
I think it's a great idea. I'm in the process of testing this myself, and I'm getting some early results are suggesting it's great.
Okay, cool. Well, that's encouraging.
So early results. I can't speak definitively on it yet, but I'll have a definitive answer soon, and then I'll be telling the whole world about it.
I bet, man. Well, hopefully a lot of these folks will be listening to you by then. I mean, I've learned so much from reading your articles and watching your videos, which I know you just recently started doing a few months ago, which are so top notch and pretty hilarious.
Thanks, man.
Anyway, it's when it comes to conversions and psychology online, your stuff is definitely the go-to. So, man, it's been cool to learn this stuff from you.
Hey, thank you for having me today. I'm hoping that I was able to give you value as well as your watchers and listeners. And I'm suspecting they'll get a little something out of this, right?
Oh, yeah. And then it's going to be fun to follow up after I do these changes, and I can talk about big results, right?
Yeah, that's what I want to hear. Sweet.
Cool, man. Well, hey, thanks for taking the time, Derek. This is a total blast.
All right. Thanks for having me.
All right, guys. Check them out at Social Triggers. I'll get some links down below, and we'll have some fun.